r/AskReddit. What is the funniest thing you've ever seen? This kid was bugging my friend, so she lunged at him like she was going to attack him. He turned to run and ran face first into a pole. She started laughing and turned to run away because the teachers were headed our way and ran face first into another pole. Both ended up in the nurse's office with matching bloody noses, and I laughed so hard I had an asthma attack. How many poles does your school have, and how close are they? I don't know if I'm understanding this wrong, but it just seems like for this to play out the poles would have to be unusually close together. Must have been a school in Poland. We were bringing lunch to the teachers at school and my daughter announced that we made a special soup for Mr. S because he's a virgin. Mr. S is a vegan. Virgins get a special soup, you say? Yeah, unto shade by the opposite sex. Gotta keep them pure. Oh man, this one takes the cake. What are you taking about? They said it was soup. This drunk dude at a bar was telling a group of us that there was a guy sitting in a chair outside staring him down. Our friend had poor eyesight and it didn't help that he was pissed drunk, but he was absolutely convinced that the guy outside wanted to fight him. We looked outside onto the patio area and sure enough, there was a guy in a chair with an evil look on his face, facing the window to the bar. I should also add that this was close to Halloween, and the guy sitting in the chair was a stuffed scarecrow with a pumpkin for a head, with a mean face drawn on it. We almost let our friend loose on the thing, but it was ducking hilarious watching him rant how he's going to ducking kill the guy, and to watch his back, because the scarecrow probably had friends with him. You should let your friend beat up the scarecrow and watch his reaction when the pumpkin head inevitably breaks or explodes. I just imagine a dude shitting himself thinking he committed murder. That was the plan, but we are good friends with the owner and bar staff, and they would have had to clean it all up. In retrospect, we all should volunteered to do the cleanup, just to witness Greg attacking a pumpkin head scarecrow in a fit of drunken rage. I was a Walgreens cashier in an extremely religious neighborhood full of rich old Baptists. One day a woman comes in to buy cigarettes and is something like $3 short. She starts digging around in her giant Mary Poppins bag, holding up the line. Wastes a good 5 minutes on it before she dumps the entire thing out on my counter. There, in the detritus of a middle-aged housewife's bag, was a crumpled up $10 bill. She yells, "Hallelujah. The Lord is looking out for me," and hands me the folded up bill. I unfold it, and it's one of those fake tens people give waiters as tips. The ones with the Bible quotes on the inside. Me, God wants you to quit smoking. Anyone with those should burn in hell. Not only did you not leave a tip, but you also decided to taunt them by making it look like you did. Should be considered counterfeiting or some such bullshit. Sorry. Can't give you anything because I already gave it to God. Alright bitch, well I'ma give this sandwich to Steve then. God bless. And yeah, tipping is a flawed system, but we have to tackle one moral crusade at a time. I was walking through downtown when there was a Segway tour going on across the street. One of the people in the Segway tour lost control and slammed into a pole. I still laugh uncontrollably when I think about it. Poor pole just wanted to learn some about the place. In grade 8 gym class, a kid clotheslined himself with a volleyball net. He ran face first into it, and his legs went flying out from underneath him. It was like a ducking cartoon. The one time I didn't have my dash cam going, I saw 2 deer bolt out of the woods and make graceful, flying leaps over the 2-lane road, like it was a Bambi movie. The third deer was not so lucky and more like something from Tarzan. It jumped higher and caught its neck around a vine. Swung out high over the road, reaching its apogee right in the middle and doing a somersault. Smacked down hard on its side, then ran off like nothing happened. If we are going animal stories, my old dog was on an aerial tether attached with a 10-foot line when she ran at some turkeys in the yard. She flew into the air as well and boomeranged pretty hard. It was both funny and worrisome. Until she did the exact same thing moments later. Then it was just funny. A guy was sprinting down the hall in college, obviously in a hurry. Well, there was a floor mat right before the stairs at the end of the hall. The mat slipped as soon as he ran on it, so he lost his balance, but because he has momentum he kept on running up the stairs, trying to catch himself. Somehow he recovered and just ran out of the building. I could not handle it. In the movies, he slams into the dean going the other way with his coffee. In anime, he trips and lands on the chest of a girl who popped up out of nowhere for this single specific scene. My best friend used to fight in karate tournaments and was actually pretty good. One time there was no one in his age/belt class to fight, so he was invited to fight in an exhibition fight with another kid who didn't have anyone to fight. Well, they were wearing headgear, so you couldn't really make out their facial features very well, so my friend didn't realize that he was fighting against a kid with Down syndrome. He beat the ever-loving shit out of this poor kid. The whole time people were telling him to take it easy and giving him dirty looks and shit, and he just kept on obliviously beating that kid's ass. To this day he's still known as the guy who relentlessly beat up a disabled kid. He will never live it down as long as I'm alive. He did nothing wrong. Why would you put a special needs kid in a fight like that? In fighting competitions you can try to win by slim margin, to not duck up the guy and yourself too much. Or just because in the end it's just a sport, so who really cares? Or you can mangle the bastard. Frowned upon though. That day was really not the good day to be a mangler. At work in the lab one day, a senior coworker is up on a ladder and tries to pull a 60 pounds power supply unit that costs $70,000 out of the rack we were repairing. Thing falls 7 feet, annihilates a table and another 35k worth of equipment and slams on the floor. Coworker looks down from his perch and says, "Cha-cha real smooth," and goes back to work. I ducking lost it. I work for a multi-billion-dollar defense company that had about 50 replacements in the back room. No big deal. But his absolute do not give a duck response mailed me. So that's where the tax money goes. Defense budget is $936 billion for a reason, and it's definitely not to defend freedom. This plane costs $700 billion to make. Why? Well, we had $700 billion left. Once, during college, a group of us saw two blind people walk into each other, and one bounced off and landed in a trash can. Obviously, this was a shock to both, and the trash can blind person shouted, "What are you, blind?" which was met with a very apologetic, "Yes." I will never laugh that hard again. Hell, I'm laughing at it again now just typing this. Used to coach blind hockey and this joke was a favorite among the players. How does that work? There are beeping pucks and goals. Players have to be constantly talking so they don't run into each other. Most of them aren't fully blind, so to make sure there's an even playing field everyone wears goggles with felt glued to the inside of them. We had a power outage at work, so they decided to send us home early. The daughter of the firm's president was your stereotypical spoiled rich girl and was probably a size 10, but was squeezing her ass into size 8 pants because she couldn't accept she wasn't a single digit size. She got excited about going home and did a high kick. Her pants split from her knee all the way up the back of her ass with the most cartoonish RIP. The look of shock and embarrassment on her face was worth the price of admission. I was laughing so hard I fell on the floor. My abs hurt the following 2 days. There was a shop in London which sold the cloud ice creams with the circle of candy floss around the cone. It was real Instagram bait when it first opened. Think it might be closed now. I wanted to walk my boyfriend past it to show him the cues and what the ice creams looked like. As soon as we turned the corner, we saw a girl coming out ice cream in hand with her phone in position to get the perfect Instagram shot. As soon as she stepped over the doorway, the ball of ice cream fell on the floor and she was left with just the cone and candy floss. The sound it made was such a cartoon splat, neither of us could believe it. It was just perfect timing with the perfect sound effect. Sounds a bit mean-spirited, but I can still hear the sound so clearly in my head, and it makes me laugh every time. I was desperate for cash in my late teens, so I took a 12-hour shift in a banana packing factory. I ended up working on a conveyor belt, picking the good bananas, throwing away the bad ones, you get the gist. About halfway through the most soul-sucking, mind-ducking, monotonous working day of my life, I witnessed a man carrying a box of bananas slipping on an escaped banana on the floor, throwing the whole box of lovely yellow fruit into the air, and crashing epically into a 6-foot stack of banana boxes. Naturally, I buckled like a broken stool, rolling around the factory floor pissing my sides. When I managed to compose myself, I realized that no one else had laughed, nor even so much as looked up from the hypnotic conveyor belt. I decided factories weren't for me, and went back to the books. It was because of me actually. 7 years ago I was at a friend's apartment for a Bible study group. At one point a guy was praying over a girl. Everyone was completely silent while they were praying, then out of nowhere, I farted, loudly. I tried my hardest to hold it in, but I just couldn't. All eyes immediately were on me. Nobody in that apartment could stop laughing for about 20 minutes.